What's up, guys? It's Pascal with ALF News this week, sponsored by ALF Boss. I hope everybody had an amazing week and you survived the full moon and the Friday the 13th this past Friday. It was pretty uneventful. However, I did have one event. I had a resident pull the fire pull station because he wanted a coffee that night. So the fire department did come out. They got a chuckle out of it and said to get this man a coffee, which we did. And that was as eventful as we had it. What else? We had the ACA joint training in town this weekend for Broward, Dade, and West Palm. I know they will be up more north in the state this coming week. You can check that out on your website. On the website, I'll provide the link. I don't think you can register online anymore, but you can show up in person and pay. It's a great training event directly put on by ACA. Great event to go and mingle with a lot of your ALF personnel in your community. So, with that said, let's go ahead and go over some of the news stories this week. So, we got a 27-year-old living in an ALF in Missouri. So, I'm not sure what happened with this guy. Maybe he was watching Bevis and Butthead, and he decided to start a fire. So he took a lighter and he lit his little notebook and put it on his roommate's bed and set the thing ablaze. Whew! Well, he was arrested, of course. Charges are pending. The investigation. This is just ridiculous. I'm going to touch on the subject here. It's a little touchy. It's just my personal opinion. When it comes to ALFs in younger individuals, I always suggest to be cautious. I know some of these individuals are there because it's not due to physical disabilities and so much mental. It's just because it's borderline going to a shelter and prison. And some parents just can't deal with these younger individuals and are just like happy to pay the money to put them in an assisted living. Me personally, I don't think that's what assisted livings are meant to do and provide, just my opinion. And the younger individuals do bring caution to me because they are stronger, they're sexually more active, and you combine that and that can be trouble. So I always do suggest you don't mix ages. If you're dealing with an elderly population, like 65 and older, things like that, don't be putting in 29-something-year-old residents. I don't think it's a good mix. Again, this is just my opinion. I know some of you, this is your niche, and I'm not bashing it in any kind of way, just giving my little 2 cents. Moving on to the next story. We are going to go to New Hampshire. And this is a very sad story. We have a couple daughters that are suing a facility because their dad eloped over a year ago now, and he has never been found since. So they don't know if he ended up passed away somewhere or if maybe he is still alive. They have no clue. But this is sad because the red flags were there and the facility ignored these red flags. The individual did elope from the facility before, and the fire department had brought him back. And the daughters, according to their statements, did talk to the facility about putting GPS tracking systems on him. They brought in pamphlets with suggestions that they found online, things like that. The facility said, no, it's not needed. We got this. And then he ran away to never be found again. So, geez Louise, people, the elopements, they happen, but they shouldn't happen more than once. If it does happen once, you got to take the precautions you got to take. If your facility is not appropriate, your facility is not appropriate. There's so much technology out there these days with the GPS trackers and all of that. Please invest in that. Especially if a family brings anything that has to do with healthcare and the facility brings it to your attention, they're trying to help out, work with you. As long as it's within the regs, please do entertain what they're trying to bring to you. Take it into consideration. They only want what's best for their loved one. This is just a sad situation, and I see a big payout for this because all the red flags were there. He ran away. His daughters made suggestions. Just not good at all. Jesus. And it's facilities like this who do silly things like this that make it suck for the rest of us as far as our insurance rates going through the roof. Here's another weird story. I'll talk about it just to talk about it. There's a doctor here who wrote a story in the Journal for Medical Hypothesis. Just there tells you something. Well, he's suggesting that when the cure for Alzheimer's is established, that the assisted living and long-term care industry is going to lose around $16 billion and over 300,000 jobs. I say, I don't care. Please find a cure as soon as possible. It's a terrible disease. Terrible. I don't even know why this guy is writing this, but he's writing it apparently because he wants a task force by the government put together so they can be ready for the economical impact it's going to have on the economy. Doc, get out of here. All right, next. We had the famous businessman here, Mr. N. Esfomos, was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his role in the scheme, the fraud of the Medicare and Medicaid system that he ran down here in Dade County and through the state. The way it worked, he had all different types of facilities and hospitals, and he would, let's say he had a patient in assisted living, he would send that patient to his hospital. They would do all kinds of unnecessary stuff there, get billed for it. Then he would discharge that patient to one of his nursing homes where they would do milk, whatever they can there. And then the patient would be sent back to one of the assisted livings that he worked with. And the cycle would go on and on and on while he was greasing up his pockets with plenty of cash. He even managed to have ACA on his payroll. ACA would call him ahead of time, say, hey, we're coming by for an inspection, or we're coming on a complaint here. Get ready for it. Here we come. Big racketeer thing going on there. Unfortunately, it was in Miami again. But apparently he's been sentenced to 20 years, so we'll see. We need to get rid of this fraud, people, please. You guys are making it bad for the rest of us. Please. There's enough money to be made in the industry without doing stupid, I almost said a bad word, stupid stuff. Here's a more happy story. There's this 97-year-old guy in Arizona, and I guess he decided it was time for him to go to an ALF. So he did his research, and he found a facility in Fort Myers, Florida. So he's in Arizona, and he decides he wants to come to a facility in Fort Myers, Florida. So Pops, who rides an electric scooter around, has trouble apparently driving that thing around, decided to pack up his pickup truck with all his stuff, and he got a trailer, was stacking this thing to the roof. So his son intervened and said, Pops, let's fly you there, and then we could bring your stuff. And there was just no talking sense into that. And Dad was not having it. Dad was going to get in that truck, and he was going to come down to Florida. Well, the son called the police because it's just not safe for Dad to be driving, especially with that big old trailer full of stuff back there. So the police came out. Police tried to talk to him, and then the police said, they said, listen, ain't no way we're talking sense into Pops. It's not happening. Pops has his mind made up. You guys know that. When somebody is stubborn, they've got their mind made up, you're not going to talk them out of this. So the officer offered to come help him pack his stuff through the week, which he did. The officer kept coming, helped him, make sure everything was secure. So then Pop says, so who did you find to drive me? And the officer said, I'm going to be the one driving you. So they took a 4-day trip, and the officer drove him down to Florida and then spent a couple days to make sure he got all secure into his facility and he's happy. And that's just an awesome thing for the officer to have done. We do get a lot of negative press for the officers in the community. This is a pretty cool story. And that's it for this week's news. Pretty eventful. To say so. There's always something going on in news, negative, positive, it's always in there. We are a hot topic, of course. I hope everybody's going to have a great weekend. We got a couple storms out there again. Looks like they'll probably turn, but you never know. Keep your eye on it. And, Yeah. I'm going to head on down to Dallas this week, Dallas, Texas, and we're going to go check out the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I know, they suck, I know. We just going to go down there like maybe we're going to check out the Dallas Cheerleaders and eat some barbecue, and that's about it. So y'all have a good weekend. I'm going to have one too. Catch y'all next week with ALF News, sponsored by ALF Boss.